The Christmas budgeting sale is officially here. From Monday, November 13th through Sunday, November 19th, you can get 20% off of a financial strategy session. These sessions bring financial transformation in just 1 hour. A financial strategy session isn't just another way to budget, but a way to transform your life. In just one session, you will find yourself creating habits and setting in place small changes that will get you closer to sticking to your budget. And by continuing these sessions, you will find yourself shedding financial stress, sticking to your budget, and finding yourself able to focus on your family over your finances. Gone will be the fear of not being able to buy groceries for your family. Gone will be the fear of needing more income to live on one income. Gone will be the living paycheck to paycheck lifestyle that you have been stuck in. And you can get this amazing opportunity at 20% off during the Christmas budgeting sale by going to calendly.com/MollyBunnell/Christmas budgeting sale. But that's not it. If you book a financial strategy session with me during the Christmas budgeting sale, you will have email and Voxer access to me for a whole week. This is your opportunity to get your questions answered that come up after the call and to get the accountability to support you through the hard transformational work. And with the Christmas budgeting sale, you will get a bonus clarity call with me. I'm not going to leave you hanging as we go through this week creating your Christmas budget and not give you an opportunity to get some support in setting it up. On this 30-minute call, you will have the opportunity to get my assistance in setting up your Christmas budget or your Christmas spending plan so that you can enjoy the Christmas season, creating joyful memories instead of a stressful December. This amazing opportunity is only available from November 13th through Sunday, November 19th. Don't miss out on the Christmas budgeting sale where you get 20% off a financial strategy session plus a clarity call. Let's create your habits and systems together so that you can focus on your family over your finances. Again, you can get all of this by going to calendly.com/MollyBunnell/Christmas budgeting sale. I'm going to say that again. That's calendly.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL/Christmas budgeting sale. Or you can find the link in the show notes as well. Now, let's get started with day 2 on the Christmas budgeting series. Hey, mama, welcome back to day 2 of the Christmas budgeting series. Wasn't yesterday just so good? I mean, look at all of the amazing things that you can learn from what you did in the past. This Christmas can be a breeze, all because you took the time to sit down and look at what you did last year so that this year is less stressful. If you missed out on yesterday's episode, you may be wondering, what in the heck am I talking about? So I just want to give a little disclaimer to go back and make sure that you listen to yesterday's episode before you put anything into place, because the order that I am taking you through is so important for your success. Now, before I jump into today's episode, I do want to ask you, what did you learn from doing your own Christmas audit? Was it eye-opening? Was it what you thought it was going to be? Come on over to the Facebook group and share what you've learned and use the group as a way to keep going so that you can get the help that you need when you're struggling to find motivation, and keep going so that come next week, your Christmas budget and plan are all set and ready to go. You can join by going to bit.ly/the One Income Family Community or by clicking the link in the show notes. All right, so enough of the recap. Let's find out what you get to focus on today. Day 2 is all about the budget. Yesterday, we learned about what the categories were, what amounts needed to go into those categories, and now today we get to plug it all into one comprehensive sheet that allows you to make sound decisions when putting together your Christmas spending plan. Doesn't that sound so amazing? It's the boundaries that you need so that you can continue to feed your family during the month of December, so that you don't have to swipe your credit card and make the next year difficult because you bought too much. It's the protection to keep you in the lines of how much to spend on gifts and food and giving, and the list goes on. This episode is going to help you stay on track so that you're able to go through the holidays with less stress and more joy in your heart. So go grab that pen and paper and maybe some yummy hot chocolate. That just sounds so good right now. Off track. Anyways, go get that hot chocolate and let's dive in. Alrighty, so before we jump into actually talking about how to set up a budget, I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of a budget. And yes, this goes for any budget, but I just really want to reiterate it because it is so much more important right now as you're setting up a smaller budget instead of your big budget. Because the bigger budget, it's easier to move around. There's bigger amounts. There's less things to be like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to move it? It can be a little bit more tricky as a smaller budget. And so that's why I just really want to dive into why we create a budget and the purpose of it so that you can really understand why it is that we have the budget and it's not just a piece of paper that we look at and then throw away. Okay, so first off, the reason we set a budget is because it's boundaries. It's our guidelines. It's our rules. It's our way of knowing when we have to be flexible, when we have to say no, when we can say yes. It's our way of just really having guidelines on how expensive of gifts or food you can buy. It tells you if you can travel or if you have to choose between the two. A budget, a Christmas budget specifically, tells you if you need to cut out some things or figure out how to be more frugal. And it helps you really learn, what kind of gifts you need to buy. A Christmas budget has to encompass like your gifts, your food, your decor, your traveling, your giving, and so many more things that maybe you like to incorporate in it. But sometimes we get so high into the hype of Christmas and what the market has made it out to be and what everybody really is focused on, the gifts and the buying instead of the giving and instead of the birth of Jesus Christ and what it means. And sometimes it can be extremely humbling to see the guidelines of a Christmas budget because it opens your eyes to how much you actually should be spending on this extra stuff. It's not something that you absolutely have to do because you can give without using money. You can celebrate Christmas without using money. There are so many things you can do without the gift giving and the parties, and you can do all that kind of stuff without having to use a whole lot of money. So the fact that we go through each holiday season wanting to put more and more and more money into our budget is kind of silly because we are giving into the way of the world. We're giving into those marketing schemes, to those ways of buying and buying and buying and focusing on us instead of giving and giving and giving. Because yes, we may be buying those gifts for other people, but in your heart, it's like, ooh, how expensive of a gift can I buy? Ooh, what can I do with this money? Ooh, it's a lot more self-centered than you think. And yes, I say that because I am right there with you. So don't think that I am like putting this all on you. I struggle with the same thing that you do because it's so easy to give into that. It's so easy to fall into the traps and to really say, oh yeah, well, this is what we're supposed to do during Christmas, so this is what we have to do kind of thing. And then you see everybody else doing something different, and it can be so humbling or eye-opening to look at your budget and to really see how much you should and can be spending based off of how much money you've either saved up or you have extra in your income. Because if you are just spending your money that's in your actual income that you need for bills, that you need for food, that you need for just your everyday living expenses, then it's silly because you don't want to be struggling that month. It's not going to give you a joyful Christmas. It's not going to give you a stress-free month. It's going to make it difficult. And if you decide to swipe your credit card, it's going to make that even more difficult. So by creating a budget, you will learn if you can buy something or if you can't. And just because somebody else is going elaborate and doing these fancy things with maybe decorations or a party or, all the lights or big gifts, doesn't mean that you have to. And a dollar amount does not have anything to do with how valuable a gift is. Something can be so much more meaningful that maybe you made or that maybe you found because it's something that they enjoy. Hey, maybe they like collecting rocks and you found a really cool rock. That cost you nothing. Now, I'm not telling you to go get a rock for all your friends who like rocks, right? But you get the point. You get that there are things out there that are so much more meaningful, and a gift is more about the celebration of your friendship, of your love for somebody else than trying to get the most expensive thing out there. Okay, yes, I put that out there. It's probably not a very popular opinion, but I really needed you to hear that. Okay, and then with this, I also think that it's very important for the Christmas budget, especially because it can be an area that you can be easily swayed. I think that you should use a cash budgeting system, especially in the areas that that you're going to be struggling in, because otherwise it can be so easy to just spend and spend and spend without realizing how much money you have to spend on it. Because when you have a credit card or a debit card, like I've said in previous episodes, it just takes the emotion out of it. It takes the thought out of what you're doing and you just act on impulse. You're like, oh, I've got the card, so I always have money. Well, that's not the case. When it comes to cash, yes. If you've got cash in your wallet, then yes, you have the money for it. But as soon as that money's gone and there's no more cash in your wallet, you don't have the money for it. It's the same situation, or it's not the same situation when it comes to the plastic card that's in your wallet. That is always going to be on you, whether you have $10,000 in your account or $2. And that's why it can be so easy, because it just becomes a habit. It becomes habitual to just grab the card. It's always there, so you always have money, right? Well, that's not the case. And so that's why if you have cash as your budget, as your main way of buying these Christmas items, then you're not going to have to worry about whether or not you're cutting into your actual budget for living that month, or for maybe living throughout the rest of the year because you went too high on your credit card bill and the amount that you have to pay monthly has went up to more than you can afford, right? Those are things that we don't necessarily think about. We just think, oh, we have the credit, I can just put it on a monthly payment. Well, that can make it even more difficult throughout the rest of the year, and we don't want to put that pressure. I don't want you to have that pressure on yourselves as you go throughout the year. I want you to be able to live comfortably through not only December, but the rest of the year. So please set up your budget, set up your boundaries so that you know how much money you can put in each category, and then use the cash budgeting system so that you know that you stay on track. Okay, so let's move on to setting up the actual budget. Yay, right? Okay, now I'm sure you've seen all these budgets out there. Setting up an actual Christmas budget, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. You put the categories on the left side, you put the amounts on the right side, and you go from there. Maybe you can have it as intricate or as basic as you want it to be. So you can have just like the categories of gifts, food, decor, traveling, giving. There can be other categories in there if you have other ones, but those are the basic ones that I can think of. But then you have to separate those. You have to separate those into smaller ones. And yes, I said you can have it as basic as you want, but I still suggest separating at least the gifts section. Separating it into, maybe you have a whole coworkers amount, like maybe you want to give coworkers gifts, or maybe you want to give friends gifts, and instead of like saying how much is going to be for each person, you just have a lump sum amount. But then for like your kids, maybe you name each one of them out, and then your spouse, you name him out, and you go from there as intricate or detailed as you want to be. But it's really going to help you know, like, who's your priority? Where do you want the money to go? Where can you be flexible in case you overspend? Can you pull it from somewhere in that area? And if you do overspend, where are you going to pull it from? Is there a category like maybe the giving section that you pull it from? Or is there a category for like the decor that you pull it from? Or do you keep it inside that category itself and say, if I go over budget on this person's spending, then I pull it from my person that doesn't necessarily need a gift, but I just feel like I should give them a gift kind of thing because I see them every day, but it's not a necessity kind of thing. Like your coworkers, they can just have some candy, right? Or you can get a more detailed gift, a bigger gift, if you have the money, but maybe that's where you pull that extra money from if you overspend. Having that plan in place is going to help you when you do accidentally overspend. And yes, I say when because more than likely, because this is your first time really focusing on your budget, you will overspend. And there's nothing wrong with that. It tells you next year where your true priorities are and helps you create a better budget next year. It's just data that you use. It's nothing personal. It's nothing where you have to get your pants in a twist, right? But it is something that gives you data for the next year. And so you just tweak things and you move on. There's no like, oh my gosh, you're a bad person just because you couldn't stick to your budget. No. Do not let it get to that point. That is not the point of a budget. A budget are your guidelines. They're your boundaries to help you not spend your food money, spend your gas money that you need throughout the month to live. It keeps you from living. It keeps you from spending your living expenses. And then adding in the amounts on the other side, you just, figure out what's in your budget. When you actually go to put the total amount in, what I want you to do though, is I want you to look at your audit from last year, look at what you spent last year. Then I want you to look at what you have in your budget right now, what you have in your savings, what you have as extra income in your paycheck. And then that is where you create the amount that you can spend from this year. Sometimes that amount is really small, and sometimes that amount is really big. It just depends on whether you were able to create a sinking fund throughout the year to fund your expenses for Christmas. That's something that I will talk about in a future episode. But it's just really important. I do want to say that if you found that your audit last year, you spent like $2,000, and this year, by looking at the actual money that's in your account, the money that you know that you have, it's not credit, it's not something that you have to borrow or put on a loan payment, it's something that you can afford to buy right now, or at least in the month of December, then that's what you need to work with. If you want to be able to get more and use more money for your Christmas expenses, that's fine, because again, in a future episode, we will be talking about other ways that you can bring in more income or tweak your budget that you currently have to find more income for that month to fund your Christmas expenses and everything. But you don't want to create a plan based off of money that you don't have, based off of money that is maybe in the future or maybe not. You want to base it off of what you have and that you know that you will be able to go out and buy today or again in the month of December. Because if you base it off of future amounts or what you wish or hope to bring in, maybe you think that you're going to get a bonus, but you don't actually get that bonus, then it's going to be really difficult to fund your Christmas experience based off of disappointment, essentially, because you're going to have this plan, this elaborate plan that you're super excited about, and then all of a sudden you didn't get that bonus, or you didn't get the side hustle as much money from it that you were hoping, and then you weren't able to create this big elaborate Christmas experience like you were hoping for. And then it just puts a downer on the rest of the year. Instead, create your budget based off the money that you have right now, that you know that you can go out and use right now. And then if you get that extra money and you can do those extra, more elaborate things or add to what you are already doing, then that is a bonus. That is something that you get excited about. That is something that makes it better. And it shifts your mindset from the, oh my gosh, I really wanted to do this, but I can't fund it. And now I'm just super sad and not happy about anything, to, well, this is something that I really would like to be able to do, but I'm not going to create a plan based off of it because I don't want to be disappointed about whether or not I get it. And it's not anything to do with you, whether or not you have the money to do the more elaborate things. And maybe you can do the more elaborate things on less money and you just didn't know it. So be cautious with last year's audit. If it's like this big, huge number that you were just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I spent that much. Maybe you spent like $5,000 and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even know that I could do that kind of thing. But then you want to start cutting back. You want to start being more frugal with your decisions and finding sales like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Small Business Saturday. I mean, that entire weekend last year, I went Black Friday shopping at the mall on Saturday. And yeah, things were a little picked over, but I still got some really great deals and I got some really great things that I was able to give as gifts at a really great discounted price, and I didn't go over budget, at least not on my family. I may have on myself, but see, that's where I talk about Christmas is like a more selfish thing than an actual giving thing, right? Because I bought more stuff for me and went over budget on my own gifts because my husband was letting me pick them out. And yeah, okay, so that just really proves what I was talking about earlier. But let's get back to what I was talking about. Don't get focused on last year's amount. Use it as a guideline. Use it to know what your categories are. Use it to know where it is that you'd like to be, and then create a budget based off of what you currently have, and then maybe set some goals and some dreams of things that you'd like to be able to get. But if the funds don't come, you can get this as a backup plan kind of thing. And it just really makes your whole Christmas experience a whole lot better because it's based off of excitement, of happiness, of joy instead of disappointment. Okay. And I am also going to say that if you found that your Christmas budget has to be small and that you have to find a way to bring in more income, which again is going to be a later episode, hint, hint. Like I was saying, just plan as if you have the income so that you don't overspend and you don't get disappointed. I just really want to make sure that I am hitting that home because I want you to have a joyful Christmas, to have joy in your holidays, to be able to give and to go to your Christmases. Now, there may be some other factors in there that may make them not as fun. Like sometimes the family get-togethers can be a little crazy, right? But I mean, who knows? At least this way, financially, you're not going to be struggling. Okay, so now that we've got the budget set up and we figured out how we're going to go through and decide the amounts that we're going to put beside each category, let's talk about how we're going to follow that budget. So tracking is so important. Track the amount. So in order to track, you just simply subtract the amount that you spent from the budgeted amount as you go so that you know how much you've spent out of your Christmas budget. It's super simple. It's super easy. You can use an app. You can use just a spreadsheet. You can use a piece of paper. I mean, it's as simple as you want to get it. And then if you found that you've went over budget, you can figure out where that money is going to come from because unfortunately, money doesn't come from thin air. And we have to make a tough choice, a tough decision that hopefully earlier as you were creating your budget, you've decided where you were going to pull from and where it was okay to pull from if you did go over budget in an area, because again, it's not a shame on you, you went over budget kind of situation. It's okay, well, I've learned that I need more money in this area because it's more of a priority than this other area. That is what that is there for. That is what that cushion is there for, to keep you from going over budget, but still getting the things that you want in case you do in a specific category spend a little bit more than what you planned. Because no, we're not perfect. We're not going to stick exactly to our budget. We're not going to, there's the ebb and flow of things. Even as I go through my grocery budget, sometimes I'm way under and sometimes I'm way over, and that's okay, because sometimes there's the data behind it that tells me why I went over and why I was able to go way under. Maybe I had to get toilet paper that time and it was just way over, but I don't use it as a shame on you kind of situation. It's more of the data so that you can figure out how to move things around and really put things in a proper location so that you're able to ease up on the amount that goes into each category, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a little elusive. So if you question what I was talking about, come to the Facebook group or message me or email me, however you feel comfortable reaching out, and I will explain more on that, but I don't want to go too deep into that right now. But definitely make sure that as you are tracking the things that you are spending, you don't freak out if you go over budget, because like I said, it's just data. It allows you to figure out how much money you are needing in a certain area. But I also don't want you to be super loosey-goosey and just be like, oh, well, I put that much money there, but it doesn't matter. No, remember what I talked about at the beginning of the episode? The purpose of the budget is to have boundaries, to have rules so that you don't go over budget. Yes, it's okay to go over a few dollars here and there. It's not okay to spend your whole budget on one gift. So that's what I want you to focus on. I want you to not get down on yourself just because you went over a few dollars here and there in a certain area. Keep it in the whole Christmas budget that you're pulling it from, and not pull it out of your actual living expenses, bills, gas, food, that kind of stuff for the month, and just keep it in your Christmas budget. I don't want you to go over your actual Christmas total budget amount, but rather tweak the categories inside of the Christmas budget. Okay. And then also, if you were super frugal and you found a way to cut expenses and get some things at a cheaper rate, or maybe you were able to make some gifts and you have extra money, then have a place for it to go. Have a place to spend it. Maybe instead of buying one gift for that friend, you're able to get two. Or maybe you're like, okay, well, I was cheap on that one. Now maybe I can get a more expensive gift for my husband or my children because they mean more to me, kind of thing. And that's essentially what a budget's for. It's to help you tweak and figure out where your true priorities are, where you want your actual money going to, instead of where you just feel obligated. I know that there are multiple times where I go to places and I've given gifts because they either gave me a gift and so I felt obligated to give them one back, or there's somebody that I hang out with all the time, and so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I should give them a gift because that's the thing to do. But you don't have to do that. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you have to buy somebody a gift because they gave you a gift or because you're around them all the time. That's not a reason that you should be giving somebody a gift. You should be giving somebody a gift out of the goodness of your heart, out of the desire to want to make them better, to make them feel better, to put a smile on their face. I mean, it can be as simple as that. And maybe those kind of gifts, maybe you do feel like you should do that, but do something simple like giving out sweets, make some cookies, make some Christmas candy, and give those to the people that you feel obligated to give gifts to instead of buying a huge, big thing. Okay, so I hope that I have really helped you understand how to create a budget, the purpose of a Christmas budget, and then how to track it so that you can learn to stick to your budget in a way that doesn't feel stressful, in a way that doesn't feel like shame on you if you go over budget in a category that's in the bigger budget of the Christmas budget. And again, you don't want to go over the Christmas budget as a whole, but the categories inside can be tweaked and moved around as you go throughout the Christmas season. So don't feel anxious. Don't feel like you did something wrong because you didn't guess the right amount for a certain person. Just tweak it, learn from it, and move on. It's just data to help you figure out where it is that you really need to be putting that money. And it's just boundaries. It's just guidelines. It's not hard and fast. And if you mess up, you're in so much trouble that you can't eat kind of situation, which if you go over your entire Christmas budget and start using your daily living expenses money, then you will be in that situation, and that's what we want to prevent. So stick to your budget. Do that by setting the amount based off of what you have in your account, based off of what you have right now that you know is coming in the next paycheck or the next couple of paychecks if you have a bi-weekly, however you get paid. But don't base it off of money that is like bonus or overtime that isn't set in stone, that isn't something that is going to for sure be there, because you don't want to be having a holiday focused on the disappointments of what you weren't able to buy. Money is not the point of Christmas, so please use this budget as a way to open your eyes to what it is that you should be focused on instead of what it is that the world wants us to focus on. Okay, I pray that this episode has blessed you and that you have learned something from it, and I will see you again tomorrow as we continue this episode, the Christmas budgeting series. Have a great time, and I want to see you over in the Facebook group so that we can connect and we can talk and I can help you figure out your Christmas budget, because it can be something that is a struggle, something that doing by yourself can be overwhelming, and I am here to help you. So please reach out, either come to the Facebook group, which is bit.ly/the One Income Family community. Wow. I about said podcast because I'm so used to saying that because I'm recording right now, right? No, let me redo that. bit.ly/the One Income Family community. The link will also be in the show notes, or, send me an email. That might be something that's easier for you to do too. Just shoot me an email, ask your questions, and I would love to help you. So again, I will see you tomorrow on another The One Income Family podcast Christmas budgeting series. That is a mouthful. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I pray that it inspired you into action. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with that friend who also lives on one income and wants to learn how to live abundantly on less? Also, please leave a quick review for the show. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you, and it helps get the show out there to other mamas in need. All right, well, it's time to go play with the babies, so I will meet you back here on Tuesday for another episode. Peace and chicken grease, mama.